Welcome to the Elements of Spirit readings for the week of October 8th, 2017. These are the readings through the elements from ediblespirit.com. This is the reading for the element of fire. Ooh, reading for the element of fire. Okay. Fire, the force of will, includes the sun signs of Sagittarius, Leo, and Aries. Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius just had the Aries full moon on Thursday. It's been making it very difficult for me to sleep. So much energy coming in, so much energy coming in, so much energy coming in and moving through, and so much shit going down. Okay, so the ether reading was all about I summon the will to spread the love. It was about the gathering of forces. It was about being conscious about where you're getting your not even information, but where you're getting your energy from. What are your sources? Where is your source? Where is the source of energy that you are tapping? Is it coming from without? Is it coming from within? How's that working? And the idea was to summon the mojo this week, prepare for change, prepare for action, prepare for choices, but also like balance it out to avoid rigidity, balance it out with a little bit of fun, to avoid rigidity and fixity and flare-ups. Okay, let's see what the fire signs say. So it's this beautiful, okay, so a couple things happen. This puppy caught my eye, this beautiful tower, and then I started seeing these flames licking up along the side of the tower, and then the tower will stand up. You can't really see it when it's standing up, but it will stand up. And they're showing me that y'all have been in this tower, and that the flames keep trying to climb, but that they then just sort of keep melting back down. So tower, flames going up, melting back down. And it just seems, I want to say to you guys, be gentle with yourselves. Don't be too hard on yourselves right now. Don't be too hard on yourselves this week. Don't be too hard on yourselves right now for the week that you've just had, because I'm seeing and sensing that you've tried and that you've burned and that you've followed your will and that you've attempted to fight your fights. And it just seems like you have this energy of flaring up and falling, flaring up and falling down, flaring up and falling down. And it almost seems like you're trying to move too much. That's the vibe of this, because the message that's underneath this is fire doesn't have to climb up the walls. If fire just burns the base of the building, the walls will come to it. And then all of a sudden, maybe there won't be a building. So if you're trying to get to the top floor, you might not get to that floor, but that floor will come to you. And then we enter into that space of delicious timelessness and spaciousness where you can go to any floor you like. And then this pulls my eye back to our ether read for the week, in which this is the solar plexus, which is sort of a beautiful analogy to that same force of fire burning, which is you don't have to go beyond yourself in order to, it actually helps to not go beyond yourself if you're trying to summon the guts, summon the courage, summon the fire to act, to take action. And so in this case, it's saying you might be able to stay in one place and amass the energy that you need without diluting it, by actually bringing a little bit more of that water element into your life, by actually bringing in a little more fluidity. Okay, teaser alert, just so you know, I'm working on proprietary blends of stuff for all of the elements. So when I say something like this to you in a reading like this, you're centralizing all of this force. The idea with you fire signs this week would be to focus on it. Just let that energy build, but try to mass it up without making it pop, without making it act. Now, maybe in another week, we would be talking about using the forces of earth, of grounding, of staying where you are, of rooting into where you are. And earth aligns with our air reading that we just had, because so much of the air reading was about acceptance, which is a very earth element associated word. In your case, what the read we're actually giving is water, is to bring in just a little more fluidity, a little more fun. Don't actually get rooted. It's saying that by tempering your natural tendency in the past week and your natural tendency this week to kind of burn out of control, by tempering it with the water, it sort of alchemically and magically makes that perfect recipe of stillness, containment, and then burning. The heat, the embers get so much hotter because you're not dissipating the surface area of the fire. The embers stay there. They burn the edges of the walls down. The fire gets stronger and stronger until ultimately everything kind of collapses. Why? Just because you've been doing you, burning, amassing your energy, preparing to act, summoning the will, getting ballsy, getting gutsy, right? And then having fun, tempering it with some fun. P.S. With you especially, but with all the readings that we're talking about this week, what is that fun? That fun is just notice when you're getting so serious that there's no joy. Notice when you have so much seriousness that you're sucking all the joy, sucking all the pleasure out of the room. It's really saying, if you go back to the ether reading too, that there's some kind of bait and switch thing going on where I'm not saying turn away from the news, I'm not saying turn away from the events, but I'm saying consider the sources. And if you're going to be taking in a lot of information from all sorts of digital, technical, media-related sources, which, you know, we're in the era of being informed, so, like, have at it, just remember that they all get their source from the same source. You have that source. We all have access to that source. And I'm just saying, why not connect to that source to get your will out into the world, to get your will out into the world, to understand the actions that are really inevitable for you. And I guess that's the thing, is that there are certain actions that are in place on your path now which are inevitable. Actions which will be taken, actions which will almost like take themselves when the time is right, because you've projected a focused will into the present, into the future. Like you're working towards goals. That was the sort of top of the tower. So the read this week is to trust, to believe, to have the faith, or to experiment. Don't fucking trust, don't believe, I don't care. Experiment with staying in one place, with summoning the will to choose, to act, to assert your power, to assert your will in the world, based on what you're taking in from all the sources, not just the sources which are trying to get your attention or trying to co-opt your attention, trying to get your attention at the expense of all other sources and pieces of information which you could be giving your attention to. And the fun idea is that it's fun that's going to do that for you this week. It's fluidity, it's moving around. Oh yeah, it's not being rigid and just getting the sources from one direction or from the same sources. Opening up, fluid. Fun. So the way it's coming out in the affirmation is like this. I have the perfect combination of resources within me to effect ideal changes. I call upon the power I need to gather and be ready for action. So the implication is not that you need power to do something. The implication is that you're calling upon all of the powers that you need to gather and be ready. So you're really doubling down, and that's why it is connected to the ether read of this is what you're doing through this affirmation. I have the perfect combination of resources within me to effect ideal changes. So I don't have to go beyond myself. I don't have to move. I call upon the power I need to gather and be ready for action. I call upon the power I need, comma, to gather and be ready for action. I call upon whatever powers I need. I don't even know what powers I need, but I call upon them because I'm not going too far. So I'm not going on a fact-finding mission. I'm staying here, calling upon the powers to gather and coalesce so that I can be ready for action. Mwah! I love you. See you next week, guys. Ciao, ciao, ciao.